Singapore secured a better than expected $15.2 billion in fixed asset investments last year. The figure was nearly 40% more than in 2018. The Singapore Trade and Industry Minister says that Singapore is looking ahead with what he calls guarded optimism. Now, he's got the strategies to back this up. Brandon Tonoto tells us more.
US-China trade tensions, rising protectionism and developments in the Middle East that have affected oil prices. These are all uncertainties that Trade and Industry Minister Chun says Singapore has to guard against. Then there's climate change, which may cause countries to rethink the kind of companies and investments they'd like to attract due to carbon caps.
In the past, we talk about the land constraint, the financial constraint, the manpower constraint. Increasingly, planning for the economic future 20, 30 years out, we also have to talk about the carbon constraint. So how we manage the carbon constraint, how the rest of the world manage their carbon constraints will have an impact on the portfolio of industries that we can have and the type of jobs that we can create for Singaporeans here.
But Singapore, Mr. Chan said, is optimistic about the future because of several factors. These include Asia's growth outlook and the demand for urban solutions. Singapore is also locking in digital free trade agreements with as many countries as possible amid the rise of the digital economy. All this ties in with a strategy to make Singapore a connector in a fragmenting world. Singapore will also develop new sectors so that it isn't easily displaced and remains entrenched in the global value chain. Opportunities on the horizon include agri-tech, food science and precision manufacturing. Finally, the government will help companies and workers transform so they can become more competitive. This would help them be ready for new opportunities. Mr. Chan said the government will also implement new measures to support workers and businesses regardless of their size or stage of growth. And more details about these measures will be announced during the upcoming national budget, which will be delivered on February 18.
In the past, enterprise transformation may just be about giving people grants to help them tide over difficult moments. Our belief is increasingly that in order to do real enterprise transformation, we must go down to each and every enterprise to redesign their processes, their operating models and so forth. The reason we want to do all this is because strong enterprises also create better job opportunities for our people.
While the younger generation is acquiring new skills for such jobs, middle-aged and older workers are playing catch-up. Mr. Chan said this segment of the workforce urgently needs a so-called skills top-up.
We must adopt a lifelong learning model for lifelong employability. It is necessary but not sufficient for us to use 15 and 20 years to prepare for the first job and neglect the need for upskilling and retraining for the next 40 years, where the worker may take on many more jobs.